A few things. If DEI works anywhere, it has to work everywhere. Let me tell you where DEI does not work. The NBA and the NFL. Where are the Asian, Latino, and Hispanic basketball and football players? Where are the black guys in the National Hockey League? Those businesses are performance-based.
This was amazing. This video is brought to you by freedomuniversity.com. Freedomuniversity.com is my wife's brand new store. You can the actual link is shopfreedomuniversity.com. The link is in the description section. Get you one of these hats. I literally wore this hat to the UFC fight, and I've been wearing this hat ever since. I don't wear hats, as y'all know. This hat is comfortable. I love the way it feels. It's very discreet. It's for DJT, Donald J. Trump. And it's a good way to support Trump without just being in people's face if you want to, kind of like a subtle view of it. But anyway, go to the store. Link is down there somewhere. Like, subscribe to the channel. Y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies. This is a long video, but you are going to be entertained at every single minute of this. DEI is insane to me. And I don't understand how people continue to perpetuate the lie that DEI is somehow equality and somehow creates great environments. Research has shown, and everybody and their mama know, you can go look it up if you need verification. Research has shown that the implementation of DEI has not made minority finances better, minorities representation in business any better. At the end of the day, there's more white people in corporate office than there were before DEI. So none of this stuff really matters. None of it really is effective. It's all a virtue signal. And so to see Dr. Phil just literally, probably two of the smartest black men I've ever heard on against this woman perpetuating the lie and the myth of DEI being the white savior is hilarious to me. And I'm just going to tell y'all this right off the top before I play the video. I love hearing intelligent black men, because I believe that almost every time somebody's on television that happen to be black, they are not putting out our best. They are pushing people in the forefront who are ignorant, who cannot think for themselves, who play the victim card, who don't speak with the proper English, don't speak proper English, none of that. And so having some intelligent men just destroy this woman on DEI is incredible to watch. Roll the clip.
When you say diversity, what do you mean?
For me personally, and I think for the industry and in corporate, we are looking at it broadly. We're looking at diversity as bringing in different backgrounds, whether that is industry experience, race, gender, sexual orientation.
Well, now, wait a minute. When you're doing diversity training, you're not talking about industry experience. You're talking about racial diversity. You're talking about gender.
We're talking about all of the above. I think good diversity programs are really about broadening perspectives within an organization. And I've certainly worked for organizations where, we only want people from a specific background. And that can be very limiting and impact what your organization looks like in terms of race and gender.
Okay, well, you just said what it looks like. Mm-hmm. And that's what one of the big criticisms is that it's what it looks like, that there's diversity of bodies, that you've got a certain number of one from a certain race, another race, another race. Has nothing to do with diversity of ideology, has nothing to do with diversity of background. It has to do with quotas. Right. True?
No.
Y'all know I got to stop every now and again because they're going to copyright me. But she just said, this is the conundrum that they fall into. They know for a fact they're just doing it based on color of skin, right? We need 15 blacks. We need 14 Hispanics. We need 35 women. And we don't care if we lose every white person that work in this company. Diversity is really the elimination of white people. But she said what it looks like. And then now she's been called on the carpet on it, and she has to create the impossible to try to verify or to try to validate her DEI approach. Roll the clip.
I've never worked in an organization where we've had quotas.
I've employed as many as 1,000 people most of them union in the entertainment industry, and I'll damn sure tell you that there is a body count going on. Does DEI work?
Yes. I have seen tremendous success in.
Are you aware there are 100 studies that suggest that it doesn't work?
There are also studies show that it does work. If you look at the Harvard
But
Business
those are
Review,
done.
Deloitte.
Well, let's look at the Harvard Business Review, because they actually did a study. The study found that
I would not want to be on the wrong side of Dr. Phil on this. They already got all the research done. She brought up a Harvard study because she's regurgitating talking points. So he brings up the Harvard study, and this is what it says.
over 5 years, 800 plus businesses consistently lost diversity in their managers, that no improvement in the proportions of white women, blacks, Hispanics, and Asians, and participants feel external power trying to control their behavior.
So I can only lean on my experience. So I've worked for 13 different companies throughout the course of my career. And what I have seen is that employee engagement increases, employees care about diversity programs, candidates care. I'm coming from a recruiting background. Candidates ask about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it is important to them. There have been studies on Glassdoor that have shown that a good percentage of people will not accept an offer with a company that doesn't have intentional DE&I programs and initiatives.
Talk to me.
That brother get ready to cook, boy. They got that smoker going. Just like Nick Neal with that brisket. They got that smoker going. He getting ready to cook. Listen to this dude. And this brother who's a pastor is going to just not only destroy her. The other guy they have on a Zoom call is, nobody could say it better at explaining how wrong this is. And thank God there's some brothers on here that's honest about it. Roll the clip.
You, Pastor.
Okay, so
Preach on, brother.
yeah. Well, a few things. If DEI works anywhere, it has to work everywhere. Let me tell you where DEI does not work: the NBA and the NFL. Where are the Asian, Latino, and Hispanic basketball and football players? Where are the black guys in the National Hockey League? Those businesses are performance-based. It really comes down to, Dr. Phil, the issue of justice. And if you really want to go deep to the heart of this, and when I say that DEI treats the symptom but not the sickness, America is in a new civil war right now. The first civil war was the North versus the South. The new civil war is a war of ideologies concerning justice. And it's really going to come down to who gets to define what justice is, whether that's biblical justice or social justice. When moral law stands alone and DEI initiatives are based upon that, somebody gets to pretend that they are God.
I want to bring another important voice to this conversation. Eric Smith. He's an associate professor of rhetoric at York College of Pennsylvania and a public policy research scholar. He's joining us virtually. Eric says DEI should be called EMC, Equality, Merit, and Colorblindness. Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I just need to say that the EMC that you mentioned was actually created by Christopher Rufo. He started that going on. And those principles are things that I like, but I would call DEI, contemporary DEI anyway, critical social justice.
You say that we're told demanding merit hurts minorities. Why is that being taught? Why is that being preached?
Well, it's being preached because people think that minorities don't have the same opportunities to acquire the same education as white people. Also, in oversimplification, what we should do then is not get rid of merit. We should help those students acquire those resources.
Okay, now, you got...
Hold on. I've been saying this for 5 years now. It's very simple. Instead of saying, hey, you know what? Because black kids don't have adequate education, let's lower the standard so that they can get to college and fail out. I said, why can't we help them get a better education? Let's help them be competitive in the marketplace. Let's help them get the education and knowledge and safety and skills that they need to compete on a merit-based system. I've been saying this forever. Anyway.
Criticized for saying that you thought black students should be taught standard English. Talk about that.
Well, that took place on a listserv in my field of rhetoric and composition, which is better described as woke studies at this point. And I'll be happy to come back on the show and explain that one day.
Okay.
But what I said was, I was pushing back on the idea, the almost universal idea, that teaching standard English to black kids was a form of racism because you're asking them to speak white. I, as a pragmatist, say, well, you're giving them tools so that they can go out into the world and be happy, successful, and fulfilled. They're not replacing however they talk. They're adding standard English to however they talk. But that was not received well.
Why not?
Well, because I was seen as somebody with false consciousness. I was seen as somebody who was a traitor to his race. I was seen as all kinds of things you call people who aren't acting the way they're supposed to be acting. And I need to say this, Dr. Phil, contemporary DEI cannot work without what's called prescriptive racism.
I want y'all to listen to what he's finna say. This was probably the most intelligent thing I've ever heard anybody say, anybody of any race, anytime. Prescriptive racism. I never thought of this. I never heard of it, but this is the exact explanation of why this stuff is so loony. Keep in mind what he said. Keep this term, prescriptive racism. Roll the clip.
And what is that? It's when you have a script, basically, a list of things that a person of a particular race is supposed to abide by. And if he doesn't, he is considered inauthentic or defective. You get this from black people as well as white people, right? In fact, contemporary DEI cannot stand without prescriptive racism. It is prescriptive racism.
Let me ask you, we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. What is the definition of equity?
It's a great question. And I think we confuse equity with equality. And equality means that everybody is treated the same. And equity means that we need to look at, for example, there's a great visual of a short person and a tall person, and they're both looking over a fence, and they have the same block to stand on. And the tall person, of course, can see over the fence, but the short person has not been lifted up enough to see over the fence. And so when we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, we're talking about the fact that some demographics come to the table and have to overcome racism, unconscious bias, misogyny.
Black people.
And so how do we
Black
help level the playing field for everyone?
Okay, so that means you're trying to create equality of outcome.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I hear you saying about playing God.
Yeah.
How do you create equality of outcome when people aren't the same? You're right. Some people are shorter, some people are taller looking over that fence. They can't both play in the NBA.
Right.
You can't create equality of outcome. What gives a DEI program the right to come in and try and alter the nature of things to create equality of outcome? That's been tried. That didn't work. That was called Marxism.
What I would say is that, I've been in the recruiting space for 25 years. And the way we have done recruiting traditionally relies heavily on things like networks, referral programs. And so who are we going to refer? We're going to refer the people that we know who are in our neighborhoods or who play golf with the CEO. And
watch this brother Cook that's zoomed in. He finishes this very strong. Keep watching.
So you start to have a population in your organization that looks very much the same. And so what I'm advocating for is more intentional programs that reach a broader audience.
All the more reason for merit. If you apply to or stick to meritocracy, it doesn't matter whether somebody is playing golf with the CEO or not. It's about matching those values, those skills that are necessary for the job. Your argument proves that we do need meritocracy.
At the end of the day, you know what this is about? It's about control. It's about power. It's
It's
about
a power
control.
grab. Well, we got through D and E. I don't think we ever got to I. But like,
So you can see that obviously the longer form of this is somewhere on Dr. Phil's show, whatever the thing he does here. Maybe it's behind a paywall. But I think it's very clear that there's a demographic of people that are out of touch with reality and want to alter reality to make their utopia come true. It is asinine to me that people would think that you can change and have equal outcomes. Therefore, you have to discriminate against people to create equal outcomes. You say, hey, man, I work hard every day. I show up to work on time. Reaching my goals, exceeding my goals, and therefore I get paid more. But no, people don't want that, because if the white guys on a particular job is doing more and getting paid more, they don't want that. Everybody should get paid the same. So what happens is you may work harder, but you're going to get paid less for your work. And this person may not work as hard, but they're going to get paid more for their work because we need everybody to be equal. That's not how it works. Equal mean you got the same job as this person. You have the same opportunities, tools to achieve as this person. You choose how hard you want to work, how much you want to meet your goals. You choose how hard you're going to work, how well you're going to accomplish your goals. And at the end of the day, may the best man win. That's the way life is. That's the way life should be. You go to school, you have the same curriculum, you have the same quality of teachers, you have the same homework assignments, all of the above. The investment into the student is the same at this school, this school, this school, and this school. If somehow your mama don't help you with your homework, that has nothing to do with the kid that mama do help him with their homework. So you shouldn't say, well, your mama helped you with your homework, so you don't get a chance to go to college because this kid, mama didn't help him. We're going to give him an extra 3 or 4 points to put him even with you. No, that ain't how it works. And you know what? Adversity builds character. So people are looking at things that become adverse in their lives. It's not that you should be looking at it and saying, oh, woe is me. That person got it better than me. No. I know how to grind harder than that person because they had it easy. I know what it's like to be down. So I am more grateful and I'm more excited and committed to getting up. That's the way people should look at it. Young black men in the inner city that don't have a father, there are other men in the community need to step up and be a father figure. A young man that says he doesn't have a father, that's much more. You should have much more of a mindset to say, I'm going to be even better of a father than the one I never had. I'm going to be a better father than the men that I see around me. This is the way you should be teaching people to overcome adversity. The rose growing in the concrete. All right. I'll see you guys on the next one. That was a good video. I'm out.